Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Back here, after the last video, you guys kind of know what I've been going through. On top of that, I've been kind of dealing with some throat and nose stuff, so I do apologize if I'm a little sniffly here and there. But we're going to get back into it. I have been busy in between all the chaos in life that's been going on, so I will kind of update you guys on all the projects that we have going on here. Where to start? Well, I guess we'll start kind of over here. So in my initial Back to Horns video that you guys saw, I think I showed this manifold with some broken bolts on it. Those have been fixed thanks to some help from my father-in-law. He's, if some of you remember, he's done a couple little machining projects, helped me out with some of those in the past. And he helped me out with this one. This is a 55K CSX K5L or K5HL, sorry, and it had 4 broken foot bolts. It was just these top middle bolts. They all sheared clean off. Tried to heat them up before attempting to get them to turn. They did not want any bit of the heat. Even after they snapped off, we attempted to weld nuts to the tops of them and get them out that way. After multiple attempts on that, and that just failed. So, just one of those projects where it had to be milled out. I did. My father-in-law did his best to tap or to drill out the bolt. There was still some bolt left in the bottom. You guys can see some of the remnants of that. Used a cutting tap to kind of get some of that out. I am waiting to find some bottoming taps so I can get all the way through those holes. So that's kind of a ongoing thing. Another broken bolt that I had on this horn was on the number 4 bell. I can't remember what spot it was, but I had a back cap bolt that broke. That, oddly enough, came out with just the good old vice grips and moving it back and forth and eventually getting it to turn out on its own with no heat. So that was a pretty simple fix. The manifold, not so much. So I will have to replace some broken bolts on that, sadly, because they are painted bolts. You guys can kind of see these are the diffuser ring bolts from that horn, and these are all the back cap bolts. And you can see one from the number 4 is broken, so we'll just have to put new ones in place of those. I might try to paint them and roughen them up a bit just to make it look cohesive. I don't really like having random shiny bolts on a horn that overall kind of has a weathered look to it. I mean, we're going to clean it up, and I'll try to get as much shine out of it as I can. But there was some paint damage to the manifold when trying to heat those up and stuff like that. So, the paint wasn't perfect to begin with, so not completely heartbroken. I am not stripping it, though. We are going to save as much paint as possible because it is CSX. So, that's been an ongoing thing. I still have this manifold I'm kind of working on, trying my best to eradicate whatever was left of the corrosion. I showed you guys before, this has some decent corrosion damage in some spots, so that's kind of been a work in progress. As of lately, though, I've just been kind of getting back into horns with some simple projects, basically just some flip-flopping and some switching. Some of the horns that I built last year or even a couple years ago, I'm kind of mixing it up a little bit. Some things that I kind of want to address and make a little bit more correct with some of these horns that I've built. And in doing that, I've found an issue that is... I don't really have a good example of it. Oh, actually, I do. So, all these parts I've cleaned very heavily. You guys can see they're nice and shiny inside and out. But in taking some of these horns apart, and some of these I didn't even get a chance to honk yet. Some of them I just built and they've been on the shelf all winter, inside, climate controlled. But you guys can see on this bell, this 2 bell, those stained areas still had enough corrosion embedded in them to start growing new corrosion. All of that kind of greenish white brown stuff, that's all new corrosion that started to grow in that bell over the winter. Without that horn even being honked, no moisture in it. So I kind of came up with a solution for that. A friend of mine did tell me that he was oiling the power chambers and keeping them from growing new corrosion, which is a good idea. I talked to him a little bit about that, but I actually came up with my own idea before I learned that oiling. And what I'm doing is I have this anti-seize that's specifically for aluminum. It's the nice Permatex stuff. If you're a mechanical guy, you know Permatex makes some good anti-seize products. So what I've been doing is I'll re-clean that bell. I'll see if I can kind of get somewhat of a example of what I do. This one doesn't really need that. Actually, it might need a little bit of it in the bore there. You guys can see little spots of new corrosion starting to come up. I am going to re-clean that whole area, scrub it down really good with a wire brush and PB Blaster. And then what I've been doing is I've been taking very small amounts of this on the end of Q-tips, and then basically just applying a thin coat, because I don't want to glob it on there and just leave it in big messy globs, because I'm afraid that that's going to be excited once the air enters and spreads it and starts to get it in between the diaphragm and the nozzle ring and make the horn sound muddy, and I don't want that happening. So I'm using a Q-tip and applying at first a pretty decent coat, and then just kind of rubbing it into those spots and basically painting it. I wish I would have left the back cap off of this 4-bell here, because this one had some corrosion regrowing in it. I cleaned it, and then I went back and I basically did a nice thin coat of this anti-seize around the whole power chamber. Thick enough to solve the problem, but thin enough to where it's not going to atomize once the air hits it, and I won't have to worry about it spraying up on the diaphragms. Basically taking just a few extra minutes to really work it down into those areas, and that's been kind of my my fix for that. My friend that says that he oils down in here, he says he uses a healthy amount of oil and it doesn't affect the sound of the horn. So that's also an option that you guys could do. But I am going to basically take this year and experiment with this stuff. We're going to honk some of this stuff throughout the summer. And then I am going to check back next spring and see if my idea actually worked, which it should. I'm basically impregnating all the little crevices and everything with this, so that should be a decent fix for that. Because you just can't always get rid of the corrosion. Yes, you can sandblast, but these are areas where you do not want to sandblast. I can't stress that enough. You do not want to sandblast. In the power chambers, not a big deal, but if you don't take time to protect the nozzle ring, you run the potential of ruining the sound of that bell. It takes a lot of work to kind of get those nozzle rings back nice and smooth, even possibly remachining, but that's just a lot of stuff that doesn't need to go on. I prefer to scrub everything by hand with wire brushes, Scotch-Brite pads, and then number 0000 steel wool. So I'm completely against sandblasting. Now, if you want to sandblast your horns, you do your thing. But me personally, I'm against it. It ruins this nice finish. It gives it kind of a rougher look. and it's just, I don't know, it's not really worth the time to lose all that shine and stuff, and plus potentially ruin the sound of your horn. So that's my fix. I'm gonna try it. We'll experiment with it, and then check back next spring and open some of these horns up and see what's going on. See if it's fixed it, and if it hasn't, then I will try the oil method. So I just kind of want to try something new. Something I, really didn't think was going to be an issue. I thought, once I scrubbed it really clean, got rid of all the white corrosion, that the staining wasn't going to be an issue. Well, apparently in that staining, there is still just a little bit of corrosion that can grow completely on its own in a completely sealed environment with no moisture. So, fun. I did run into that problem. You guys might remember that tri-rail horn that I had. That was a corrosion nightmare. I cleaned it, and that horn was so bad, the corrosion just came right back, like within a couple weeks of it just sitting on the shelf. So, that is the fun part of this hobby. Is it's a constant battle of corrosion. If the parts have corrosion, they are basically, it's like a disease. They have that disease, and you basically just kind of have to monitor it. Unless you sandblast or do stuff like that, you can't really completely get rid of it. But like I said, I'm against sandblasting, so I will just figure out ways to take care of it. So what I have on the table right now is a lot. I am so out of room. I have horns taken apart up on the shelves over there. We'll get to that. But right now I'm currently working on my 46K Union Pacific early K5 LLA. This is the one that's got the that was serviced by Union Pacific. Has their stamps on the manifold. Has the refurbished horn sound level certified tag, and then some of the bells also have remnants of some UPRR stamping. Not all of them have it, but some of them have it. So that's what we kind of got going on. 4-bell still has a little bit of primer and just a little bit of UP gray left on it, not much. So that was stuff that didn't really want to come off very easy at all. This bell went through a lot of soaking and cleaning, and some of those spots are just really on there. So I just left it. Kind of helps, clarify what the horn came from, if that wasn't clear enough. So I took that apart, kind of rechecked that, found out that I had some corrosion kind of coming back on that, so we cleaned up those, used my new method of taking care of that, so that horn's going to go back together. Also, I had the wrong foot bolts on this horn. This era should have these kind of small font S series. As you guys know, I'm a stickler for detail in model railroading, and the same goes for horns. I like to try my best to keep things era correct if I can do so. So I made the mistake of just using generic F series bolts for that. So they were supposed to be S series, so we got some of those ready. And then I have 2 K5H manifolds sitting there. Still kind of working on what I'm doing with those, because one is going to be a K5 HLA hybrid, and that's this bell set, but I have to re-clean this bell set and treat it with that stuff yet, so that's still kind of that turned into a longer project, like all my projects seem to do. Something I think is going to be a day or a couple hours turns into like a week, so it's just the name of the game. This was a K5 LA, like 59 tag K bell set, whatever. That's gonna change, so I've got a lot of swapping kind of going on as well. Just with some of my, of course we're not swapping original stuff, I'm having some fun and taking some liberties with some of my just parts built horns. still making sure they're error correct after being built. So yeah, we got that CSX. That's a 55K. That's a really cool one because it's all raised letter bells, but everything has 40K era internals. We'll get more on that in a different video. I still have this 108K K3L that I have to clean up. That one has the cool 480 3-bell, so the earlier tuned 3-bell. I have a 51K K5HL that will be cleaned, restored, and hopefully get it sounding good. That one's a cool transition from this to this because unlike on the 55K, this has the first era of single piece 1Ls. This has the last era of the two-piece Sandcast 1L. But then all the rest of the bells are very first run raised letter. So really cool one there. There's some other raised letter bells just kind of kicking around in here for a K5HL, just for a generic K5HL build. That'll go on a high manifold once I get some stuff switched around. I have this 44K early K5HL that's been sitting here for over a year now that I need to get to. Clean that up, restore it, make it sound good. Take you guys over to the shelves here. So right now I have some K5 LLAs apart. This was a like 64K something or other K5 LLA that I built. That's going to get rebuilt. We're going to make that more era correct and make it a little bit earlier even. So that's going to get redone. This was my this is a 51 era K5 LLA, but I was using the wrong 1L on it. I had this earlier raised letter 1L. This is like this is probably 50. It's not. It's somewhere in the late 50s, somewhere in there. So not right for this. This needs a two-piece 1L, so I'm switching out a two-piece 1L on that. One horn that I have actually put together this year is a newer raised letter K5 LLA. This is just a generic newer style horn. It's not brand hammer new. It is new enough to have the back caps. I think it's like what is it, 118K. So we switched some parts around on that, built that, because I didn't have a nice newer raised letter K5 LLA anymore from trading and a few horns that I really regret selling a couple years ago. So I had to get one back in the collection, so I switched a bunch of parts around to build that. We do still have the 123K tuned K5L that you guys saw last year. That was like the only fucking horn that I honked last year. So looking back at my videos, I didn't do shit last year. I was too busy cleaning stuff and didn't really get many sound clips. So I'm going to hopefully get some more sound clips this year for you guys. I'm really sorry about that. Compressor was having issues too, so that was another reason. But so we got that going. This was a parts early K5HL, just random parts that I had that were all same era. Took the two-piece 1L off of that, and that's actually going to get a early 2000s 5-bell. So we're going to make that a like an early 2000s or mid 2000s. Like all the bells except for the 5 will be the 2005 2006 era. The 5 will be like early 2000s. So we're going to try to make a cool K5H out of that. You guys saw in my video when I explained what happened in June that I have another shelf now for my K3s. I still don't have enough room to have all my K3s on their individual shelf, so I'm going to have to double up in some areas because I have a lot of K3s to try to get done. that's really about it over here. I'm going to try to... I have a big bore 5 for this early 80s K5LA, and I'm going to try to get that stripped and clean and get that on that horn and test that. Not really on the top of my priority right now, but that's something I'd like to get to this year. So a couple horns that we need to test. I never got to test this. This is a mid 80s K5L that I built. The 3 and 4 clearly aren't, well, that whole horn wasn't really original. That's just a parts horn that I had originally put together, shipped out to have professionally painted, and was extremely expensive with actual CSX paint. And I ended up parting it out anyway, so that was kind of a dumb venture on my part. But if I can make that sound good and might have it repainted, we'll see. This is one that we need to test. This is a 90s tagless, early 90s tagless K5LA. Still have to test that one yet. This horn, you guys got to, I think you guys got to hear this one. It's the early K5HL that I built out of 90s bells, with the exception of the 2-piece 1L. All the other bells are 90s. That's going to go in a low manifold, and I'm going to use that high manifold for something else. So, yeah, a lot of swapping around with these horns that I've built from parts. Like I said, I'm going to try to make them more era correct. Even like I said, I'm picky down to the bolts. So, so we have to test that. And then you guys saw last year I got my HLCX K5LA back. That's like 21 or 22K serial number. And then I got my my shop mutt CP rail K3L back. I still need to clean that and test it. I never did test this BNSF H1 painted K3L. Still got to test that, see how that sounds. I don't think I tested this either. This is 90s Square Tag Executive Mac K3HA that I still have to test. So a lot of stuff this year. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through it all, but we're going to try. We do have the new shop foreman is on his post, making sure things get done. Doesn't really matter if they get done on time, just as long as they get done. But yeah, guys, a lot of stuff. I'm at least going to get all these parts horns built and better than they were, and try to get some of this stuff off of my counters this summer. Stuff that's sitting on the shelf right now might just still sit there. I might not get to test some of that, just because we do have so much stuff to clean and try to get done. But we are definitely going to get some sound clips this year. I want to get a sound clip of this early K5 LLA. Probably going to try to get a sound clip of all of those earlier LLAs, and even hear that new one. I haven't heard that new one yet that I just built over there. So, a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff to do. Like I said, don't know if I'll get it all done this season, but I'm going to try like hell. And, with Mr. Bossy Pants here, maybe he can push me to get some of this stuff done. So, thanks for sticking around, guys. I know my this channel gets kind of shaky over the winter time, plus the tragedies that I've had the past 2 months haven't been helping anything. So I really do appreciate all my subscribers for sticking around. Like I said, we'll get some of these projects done. We'll start getting some sound clips for you guys, and hopefully the rest of this year will be better. So, so thanks for everything, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video, this little update, and until next time, take care.